welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. If you don't know me, I'm a performance coach for nonprofit leaders. I work with them to master the art of influence so they can ask for and receive anything they want, need, and deserve, and doing it without feeling rejected, ineffective, or pushy. Who wants to feel any of that? Not me. This week, I am going to share an extension of episode 92. In episode 92, we talked about turning your board into a lead generating machine. And I have been doing some board trainings, and I am loving this training. And what I do and what I teach you to do in this episode is a very simple way that your board can support fundraising. And that's by having what I call connection conversations. Connection conversations are, they're just going to go out into the community, see who's interested, who might want us to further their connection, and then pass that lead along to the development team or the executive director or whoever's going to follow up. Okay, so that's a very exciting thing. And the boards that I've been working with are doing great on it. And I want to share with you some lessons learned about how to not just start this, but maintain this inside your organization for the long term. All right. So let's say they were game and they said, okay, we're each going to have one of these meetings, and then we're going to come back and then see what it's like. All right, well, here's what we want to do. So most boards that I work with will commit to doing this once a month, which is awesome, because if you have 15 people on your board, that's a lot of leads coming at you every month. And not everybody's going to want to follow up, and that's totally okay. But if they are out there doing these and just having these simple connection conversations, you're going to drive some leads. So what we want is to keep them in momentum, keep them going in this. Not just to have one meeting and have it fizzle out. So here's what you want to do is work with your board to each come up with a list of, I would say, 25 to 30 prospects. Now you want to help them develop a prospect list. That's really step one, because I don't want them to feel like they have to start over every month. So let's say, hey, it's April or May, and I'm going to do my monthly thing, but they can't meet till June or whatever, right? May's really busy month. Can we meet in June? Yeah, sure. Okay, well, maybe I could find somebody for May. Or, okay, now I'm going to do that in June. Wait, and that meeting's over, and now I'm going to schedule my next one. Well, maybe that person can't meet until August. So instead of doing one a month, I'm doing one every other month, because I have to kind of start over from the beginning every time. So what can lead us out of that are prospect lists. So I have them each create a prospect list of 25 to 30 names that they feel like they would be comfortable connecting with these people to share about what's going on with them and what's important in your nonprofit. And in each of these names, you're going to identify an affinity or connection. So why would I want to reach out to this person? What kind of relationship do they have to my organization? So I'm working with an organization called Annie's Hope. They just completed the training, and they're going out and they're doing their first round of connection conversations. In developing a prospect list on Annie's Hope, and they provide grief support for kids. So what is something like, what would be the connection? What would be the thing that would connect that person to this cause? Maybe if you know them well enough, I don't know if they know them well enough, but it could be maybe they lost someone important to them as a child, and you know that. Or maybe they have kids of their own, you can connect on a child level. Maybe it's they are really about therapy and group therapy or something. Like what could be a connection point between that prospect and your organization? And if they need help brainstorming these, you can maybe help them figure out why would somebody maybe care about our organization, whatever it is, animal welfare, whatever you have going on, why would somebody care? It could be, you maybe have access to an audience that they want access to, and they have an emotional connection, whatever it is. You want to identify that, because then that will help them approach that person. Now we work with this stuff all day, right? Like this is what we do and what we know, but it really takes a little more hand-holding and a little more effort to get this going and get this set up. But if you get that prospect list going, both of the name and then whatever affinity that you or connection point to that person. Now, what it is, the board member can just open up their computer and say, okay, maybe I'll reach out to 3 people. I asked them to reach out to 3 people a month so that you could set 1 meeting a month. Right. And you may get lucky and be like, hey, they all 3 said yes. And now I'm going to book them out and I got 3, or I'm going to double up this month or whatever. But generally, if you can reach out to about 3 people, you'll probably get 1 meeting. But what I want them to do is have this list so they don't have to like, okay, who am I going to go through now? Who am I going to go to now? And we all have the list and we're all working a list. Okay. Second thing is data transfer. So I don't care what this looks like, but we're going to pick something, a Google Doc, a Google spreadsheet, Sync or whatever. If you're used to using that, Slack, it doesn't matter. Pick something. If you're already communicating with your board through something, you can add this onto it, by which they will each have a place to have all their prospects and all this and the affinity and then whatever status they want to add. So they're going to put in and add content to this. That way, when they have a meeting, they go in and they say, okay, here's what happened. What we don't want to have happen is them going out into the community, having a bunch of conversations, and then you not getting it back to you. You're like, you talk to who about what? And then somebody wants you to know something and you don't, and you're like, I don't know who that person is. I don't know what you're talking about. So we want to be able to transfer the information. And that could be a spreadsheet, a doc, a shared doc, whatever it is, that they're going to pop all those prospects in, right? And with their affinity and then whatever follow-up there is. So whatever they want to share with the organization. So first is the prospect list. Second is some sort of data transfer tool. And the third thing is, and this is the most important thing, is accountability, a system of accountability. And what does that look like? Well, it can look like a lot of things. And it really doesn't matter to me specifically what your system is, as long as you have one. And by system of accountability, I mean, who is making sure that these things are happening and who's maintaining the expectation that that will happen. Because when you have a system of accountability, now what's going to happen is this will just become habit, right? This is just part of your board's culture. And when new people come on, you're like, oh yeah, here's what we do. We do these meetings and here's the spreadsheet and da, 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 da. And here, let me train you on how to do it. It'll become part of your board orientation. Everybody's just going to do it and it's going to be part of it. What makes that work is a system of accountability. Anytime somebody asks me, my board isn't doing this, I say, well, what kind of system of accountability do you have? Like, we don't. Okay, well, there you go. So part of what role that I serve when I work with organizations long term, so say you're going to work the training with me, I will hang out with you for a year and provide that accountability and make sure that gets done. Help them set up their prospect list, help them transfer the data, make sure they're doing it the whole time, make sure they're comfortable with it. Because I can provide that accountability, but you can too, all right? And also they can provide it to each other. So now at a board meeting, maybe you're spending 5 or 10 minutes of a board meeting, popping open that document or that Slack channel or whatever, and looking and seeing, okay, if you meet monthly, who did you meet with this month? Da, 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 da. And they're going to share real quickly who they met with or their prospects, or it's all in that doc. And what you're talking about in the board meeting is if anybody's having any trouble, if there's anything exceptional going on that you want to have a conversation about. Once you get this in, once they get going, they're going to really get into it. It is so fun for them, and because they want to contribute and they want to contribute at a high level, they just don't know how. And also, there's no pressure, there's no pushing, there's no selling, there's no asking. It's just connecting. And if there's an affinity for your cause, then send them along. If not, that's totally okay. They can't mess it up. Go listen to episode 92. And I talk about how they can't mess it up. But you really want to look for those 3 things, which is a system, which is prospecting list, data transfer, and a system of accountability. Now, there's a third piece that I also think is important: individual support. So this is also what I do when I work with boards over the long term. Say you do this training and then you can hire me for a year. If you really want the system implemented, let's talk. Okay. But That's okay. You do you. If you want me to help, that's great. If not, that's okay too. And it takes a year. I'm telling you, it takes a year. It takes an absolute year. So make sure you're committed to this for a year. Do not give up until a year is up. Like, please, even if it's clunky, even if it's hard, even if they forget, just stay in it with them. It takes a year. I promise you, it takes a year. Okay. And also, you want to be available for any kind of coaching or feedback they might want. And what I do is I set up office hours. So I just call them office hours, and I'll be available if you want some specific help landing a meeting, if you want specific help about how to approach it, if you want to process something that it didn't feel good, you want to get better, just so you're aware. And, if they need support and help, that you're there, they're not feeling like they're just out there alone, right? That if they need support, and you can do it in a structured way, like office hours, or you can just offer to be available for a call, or a meeting when they need it, if they need some extra support. But if you put in a prospect list, a data transfer system, and a system of accountability, give it a year and be there to support them when it gets hard, I guarantee you this will get implemented and it will work, and it will be driving leads. Give them and yourself patience and grace as they learn this system. All right. If you're interested in learning about the initial training that I talk about in 92, or in working with me at all, I'm happy. And the link in the show notes, there's a link for a quickie intro call with me. It's 15 minutes, and you can meet me and we can have a call. And of course, me, whatever you decide is totally okay. Never any pressure. I love to connect. And if I can help you, great. If not, I hopefully can give you a resource that will. So again, prospect list, data transfer, system of accountability. Give it a year and be there to support them when you need it. Good luck. Put this in place and watch the leads flow to you. Watch the system, the community of support blossom all around you. It's spring, everything's blooming. Watch your lead and your community of support grow and grow and grow, and your board members be super thrilled that they can contribute at such a high level in such a meaningful way, and grow their own networks and their own skills at the same time. Yeah, it's a win, 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 win all around. Okay, that's it for me and this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. Again, if you want to connect with me, there's a quickie intro call link in the show notes. I'm happy to spend some time with you talking more about how to turn your board into a lead gen machine. Have a great week. Thank you for all the work you do. We'll see you next time on The Influential Nonprofit.